that pokerfish? It's sock eel. Sock. Moonglow Bay is a cozy game focusing on fishing for the weirder denizens of the deep, and in this review I will make the case that while it has a great deal of rough edges, noticeable ones, it's actually quite underknown, as it succeeds in being a colourful collectathon and has similarities to massive hits of recent memory in this Cheapness Affordable Gaming review of Moonglow Bay. You're the main character in this quaint town, known for its variety in marine life, so tourism and fish are this town's lifeblood. Problem is, no one's fishing because that blood is superstitious. Everyone became scared of that varied marine life. Everyone, that is, except your partner who passed away while trying to fish and start things up again. So you're carrying on their legacy, fishing, frying, friending, flying, and filleting in order to save the town you both loved. No wonder you're having a tourism problem. The train station's out of order, the tunnel's closed, and the ocean doesn't go anywhere. And sure, I'm not an oceanographer, maritime expert, pirate, or mermaid, but doesn't that mean this town isn't on the ocean? So it would seem that this town of Moonglow Bay is located on some other kind of body of water. Maybe an inland sea of some sort. Wait, do those have bays? Before we continue, it's my turn to do some fishing. So please, if you like my content, consider liking and subscribing so I can get some trout. Absolute punishment. But no pressure, I'm grateful you've even watched. If you wanted to categorize this game into a genre, farming sim is probably the best thing you could come up with, except for the, lack of farming. It does have other things in common with that genre. It has collecting, friendship, getting to know the town, and some refurbishment. So yes, the only thing it's really missing is the planting. Well, usually fishing and cooking get lower billing in the farm sim genre, but here they are front and center, and that made the game unique. I say made because this game came out quite a while ago, and unfortunately now it has Dave the Diver and Dredge to contend with. Both games with which it shares some similarities, but failed to make anywhere near as much of an impact, which I kind of feel is a bit unfair. Thanks for watching so far. Please bear with for another 20 seconds. It's intro time. But it does have some issues that probably contributed to it not reaching its full potential. Let's start with the fishing. It's enjoyable, even though there isn't that much to it mechanically. The rod fishing is the most involved. Choose your rod with different line lengths, striking and reeling string. Also choose your lure, there are 3 to choose from. Each allows you to catch 2 out of the 3 possible fish types: aggressive, fast, and resilient. Then pick your bait: low grade for small to medium fish, high grade for medium and large. And technically you don't need any bait to catch small fish, because they really should work on their self-esteem before they themselves are steamed. Then cast your line, and when you get a taker, reel in the opposite direction, striking to gain water quickly, while being careful to not apply too much tension, and eventually you will catch it. Lobster traps fairly uninvolved, need bait but give you a lobster reward. You produce boiled lobster at an incredible price point, just double the price of fish and chips. What a deal. Net fishing, that's less involved, allows you to catch multiple fish, and then fairly late game line fishing, where you can catch up to 5 fish at a time of different sizes for no bait. This is not sustainable. At this point it becomes like shooting fish in a barrel, which is also not sustainable. But don't worry, as said, that's quite late game. So you'll get some fair use out of the other methods. Every fish you catch can either be cooked up and sold, or be given to the aquarium, their version of the farm sim museum, where you can spend some time looking at. Plus, the fuller the aquarium is, the more money you earn from selling fishy food. So that's the collecting element of the gameplay. But mainly you will be cooking them up, and then selling the meals from vending machines. Don't worry, they usually sell fast. The kitchen gameplay is a collection of mini-games. See, this reminds me of Dredge 2. Some are easy, some are hard, depending on the dish. Do it perfectly to make 3-star fish cakes. And that's interesting, you don't need tuna to make tuna sashimi. These gameplay elements are fun, but they are fairly uninvolved. At best, sometimes you'll be hunting specific rare fish that can only be caught in certain areas with this rod and this lure. Or fighting a boss fish that requires the same mechanics as catching a small fish, except devouring them is not the goal. You're soothing the savage fish, making them a chum. You're a Pisces, you say, trying to protect the bay, restore it, break through the superstitions. Absolute punishment. And as part of that progress to catch new fish and enter new areas, you can perch upgrades. Absolute punishment again. And lastly, there's the town renovations. Spend money to make the place look prettier and allow you to charge more. Yay, you're saving the town by turning it into a tourist trap. This is fun when you do it en masse, especially since some areas are in rough shape. I mean, these people theoretically depend on the beach. How could they mistake it for a landfill? But visually, the game is a mixed bag, obviously. It shows the merits and perils of voxel graphics. The perils are mostly located in the town. Some parts can, as said, look ugly, especially before those renovations. But after all the intentionally ugly stuff is taken away, some of it can still look unpleasant. And on rare occasions, maybe even look bad. At the very least, I'm talking about the news station trees. Some places look barren, too jagged, grimy looking. The ocean on the other hand is much more consistently pretty. Traditional seaside, rocks, etc. And voxel fish are cute as nuggets. Honestly, they're quite strange for a place trying to distance themselves from the unexplainable. At times, when you catch a new one, it reminds me of Pokemon, especially the weird ones. If the larger ones do clip through the boat. That and the rammable ice are really the only issues in the ocean, visually. And musically, it's nice, very calming, soothing, sweet, scores the bittersweet reasoning for why you're out on the ocean in the first place, and drives home the idea of the beachy town and otherworldly nature of the bay. Story-wise, I didn't really get that into it. The emotions, etc. The instances where you connect with people over food, those were better. And the townspeople's superstitions can be funny, but the cutscenes don't really register. Maybe it's because they use that close-up view where something like Stardew Valley doesn't even attempt it because of all the pixels. All that voxel isn't helping. And arguably the game also lacks refinement. Sometimes glitches, sometimes game-ending ones. Clams are really hard to find, but they're needed for a dish that one of the residents like. The journal can be a bit hard to use. It's big and takes a while to flip through it. You probably won't cook all the available dishes, it's not necessary. I think to a large extent if you really wanted to, you can grind through simpler dishes, plus there may be some evidence that they planned on doing certain different things, adding different features, but couldn't really get around to it. For instance, the fish in a vending machine. My guess would be that ideally it would be sold at a restaurant. And most of the renovations you can't interact with. It's just a visual way of measuring progress. I mean, it feels very loose. But ultimately, I actually think this game was good. Surprisingly, because it got mixed reviews on Steam. It's a much lesser known title than Dave the Diver or Dredge, but in spite of its flaws, I think it's good. Maybe they shouldn't be regarded in the same esteem, but come on, this disparity feels a touch unfair. The game took me 25 hours to complete, having caught most of the fish, completed all the renovations, most of the side quests, which actually is very low for a farm sim. There is more to do in Dave the Diver. But the game is cheap on Steam, 150 Rand full price, 37 Rand 50 cents on sale. That's 1 Rand 50 cents per hour of gameplay, which is good. In spite of the short length, sure, a lot of farm sims will get you lower, but that's still good value. But to download, it takes up 4.17 gigabytes on the hard drive, kinda big. Unfortunately, I couldn't test it on the Warhorse because I played it during that 2-month stint with Game Pass. So here are the system requirements, you make the call. Surprisingly, it requires a minimum of 8 gigabytes memory, which the Warhorse probably would have struggled with, and depending on what you thought of the visuals, might not be worth it. And stereotypically, the game is kid-friendly for the most part. The only problem is that while they do give you the opportunity to pick your pronouns, I think the implementation was off because the townspeople called me something else, which some people may dislike even more, because even though it probably was an oversight, as I mentioned, it's unrefined, it may make some people feel like they don't care, and feel like the opposite of gaming escapism. And I'm going to quickly mention it here because I didn't really test it much, but this game has same-screen co-op too. Weird for this kind of game, but it's here if you want it. The game is a unique version of the farm sim because it focuses on fishing and cooking, and has no farming. The ocean biomes are nice, and there's a great deal of fish variety. The mechanics are fun enough if they are very shallow. The music is calming and lovely, otherworldly and mysterious too. The visuals are a mixed bag. The town can look bad, especially before renovations, and the sea can look good, with cute fish friends. And the story didn't really connect for me. Maybe the voxel characters and movements made it feel disconnected. Maybe the journal entries were a bit bitter, as well as the discussions you had over lunch. And sometimes the townspeople's superstitions can be funny. And on the con side, the game is noticeably unrefined. It has some game restarting glitches, unpolished gameplay, the pronouns issue, etc. Come on, play it and engage in some fly fishing. Absolute punishment.